Hello everyone, and welcome to another live watch along show on Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie, and I'm your host for this evening. We are back with some more Club World Cup fixtures, and we are entering the round of 16. So today we'll be watching a very big encounter between Real Madrid versus Juventus. So hopefully we'll get a better performance from Juventus after losing to Man City a few days ago. I think it was 5-1 the final result. So yeah, hopefully, we're not seeing a weak Italian side and we're seeing a team that actually competes today. So let's go through the lineups together and see who is starting for both teams. Now for Real Madrid, you've got Courtois in goal, and then you've got Rudiger on the right side of a back three, Tchouaméni in the middle, and Huijsen on your left-hand side, which is a very interesting tactic. So 3-5-2 is the suggested formation for Real Madrid today. And in terms of your midfield five, you've got Trent playing as a wing back. You've got Frank Garcia on the left, Arda Güler, then you've got Valverde and Bellingham. And then you've got Garcia up top alongside Vinicius Junior. So very interesting tactics there from Real Madrid. Now, in terms of Juventus, you've got Gregorio in goal, and you've got Lloyd Kelly, Rugani, and Kalulu to complete their back three. And then your midfield, you've got Cambiasso, a player that I've actually been looking forward to watching. He was linked with Liverpool not so long ago, a player that can play left back and right back. So very interesting profile. So interesting to see how he plays today. You got Kefren Toure, I'm sure a very familiar name to us Liverpool fans. A player we were linked with a couple of years ago. You've got Locatelli and you've got Costa, who had a decent game against Man City despite being on the losing side. And then your advanced attack role, you've got Yildiz on the left hand side. Definitely one to watch if you haven't seen him before. Conceição, good to see him back. Very, very attack minded, right sided player. And you've got Kolomouani up top. So no Vlahovic, which I think is an interesting selection because Kolomouani would bring something different to the table. He will be playing on the shoulder and using his speed to his advantage. So definitely looking to stretch the Real Madrid defense. So should be an interesting plot from the Juventus manager, which of course Igor Tudor. Now in terms of the bench, you've got Tani Carvajal, so it looks like he's back in the mix once again. You've got Militao. Good to see him back. Of course, he suffered an ACL injury, I think, just before the season closed. So it's good to see him amongst the action. You got Kylian Mbappe, you know, just a random French striker there on the bench as well. And you've got Luka Modric, Rodrigo. Hold on a second, guys. Oh, Kenan Yildiz almost hit a shot on target there, but pretty much scuffed it. Juventus not playing him on the attack in the opening couple of minutes there. And back to the bench, you've got Lunin, your goalkeeper option there. You've got Vasquez, Daniel Ceballos, you've got Brahim Diaz, you've got Lekidim, you've got Ramon and Sal, Andre Munoz, and Mario Martin. And for Juventus, you've got Bremer, solid centre back there, Gatti, Cute Miners, who of course played in the last fixture, Vlahovic, Nicolas Gonzalez, Weston McKennie, Adzic, and Kostic, Timothy Weah. You got Pins Soglio, Douglas Luiz, Dafara, Arawi, Bangula, and Garofani. So you got a few options there. Definitely players that were familiar, especially I would say the first few were players that were involved in the last fixture against Man City. But of course, didn't show a great account of themselves. So maybe the coach has gone for more of a rotated squad today, which is fair enough. But yeah, it should be an exciting game, I would say, because you've got, I would say, two very attack-minded setups from both teams. So I'm expecting it to be a more competitive, a bit more of an open game. It'd be great if it's a basketball game where it's end-to-end stuff, but let's see how it goes. So right now, you've got Real Madrid on the ball through Vinicius Junior. He shoots from distance. It's a huge deflection. I think the player that blocked it looks like he's got a bit of a sore chest now, so he's trying to catch a breath, and I shouldn't laugh, but yeah, it looked like a bit of a sore one there, but he's fine. Action continues. In terms of my prediction for this game, I think Real Madrid will get the win today, but I just like it to be a bit more of a competitive game, not a you know one-way traffic. I want it to be where both teams are competing and it's an exciting fixture where it's neck and neck and it's pretty much very close in terms of the scoreline. That's the kind of game I would like to see today. Um, you know, Jurgen Klopp has been in the headlines again. He's not even affiliated with Liverpool anymore, but he's been asked a question about his thoughts on this competition, and he said it's one of the worst ideas ever. Um, I'm not just saying because I'm a Liverpool fan, but I do echo what he says. I don't think this is a great idea. Uh, you've got a lot of these big teams playing very, very early in terms of their off season because this is technically off season in my opinion. And a lot of these players will be overworked playing a lot of these games. It hasn't really had that sort of competitive kind of nature to it. But as the games go on, as the tournament progresses, that's naturally going to happen. So regardless, even if it's played at a training level, their players are playing a competitive match and they're being worked right now. And the thing is, a lot of these players in the modern game are playing a lot of game over the course of the season. Like this is not even regarded as part of your season. So, if the winner was to go on and complete this competition, they would have played, you know, close to 8 games, I would say. So my maths might be wrong there, but they would have played, a huge amount of games to win the competition. Of course, the reward is great. The winner gets 100 million. And I said the only positive is that teams like Auckland City, just to give an example, they've managed to generate quite a few funds from competing in this competition, and that's definitely going to help in terms of the club's future, and maybe they can invest in the squad for years to come. So that's probably the good part of this competition, where you're helping teams that aren't financially blessed in terms of how European teams are, where we've got more TV coverage, so we get a lot of our money through TV rights. You get more sponsorship deals, in terms of your bigger teams like your Man Cities and your Real Madrid. So those things do play a part. But of course, teams that are not playing the most competitive leagues, it's hard to generate money in that kind of manner. So for those teams, it makes sense. But I have to be honest, even just speaking as a neutral, forget me being a Liverpool fan right now, it hasn't been a great competition. It's not been like us watching the Euros or the World Cup. It doesn't have that magnitude. And that's a bit of a concern for me because this was supposed to be like a prelude for the World Cup, which takes place in the same location for next year. But for me, it hasn't really, hold on a second. Colomwani, through goal. Can you finish it? Oh my gosh. He digs it, but didn't really add any finesse to it. I feel like he toe punted it more than anything else. And the ball hit the roof of the net. So the game has started in very, competitive manner. Colomwani on the shoulder, like I mentioned a few minutes ago. Kennedy Diaz with a lovely through ball, perfectly weighted pass. Oh, he could have done. Like they did have time. I know he had that pressure from Rudiger, I think it was on his shoulder, but maybe yeah, just didn't have that kind of spin on the shot, and it didn't really help with his finish there. I think he went more for power and tried to lift it rather than adding a bit of spin. That way, the ball goes a bit more, it dips a bit more quicker than you just hitting and looping in the air. So unlucky there. Maybe being a bit harsh, maybe a bit too critical. I think he could have done a bit better there. I feel like he had a bit more time to possibly use his weight on the player a bit more and then just think it a little bit better. But huge chance for Juventus. Hopefully they don't go on to regret it. But at the minute, they have been the more adventurous team. It's the second sort of moment they've had towards goal. So let's see how the game continues. Oh, great shot from Valverde. Just over the bar there. Finish was it was good. It wasn't a bad technique. It's just yeah, very unlucky. I just feel like if you just it's one of those shots where if you hit a little bit on your ankle, it helps with the lift and it just makes the ball dip a little bit as well. So Maybe he hit a bit too clean, if that makes sense. Just got a comment here from AI. Says, hi, I was in chat. How are you? Like, comment, share, and subscribe. You're never welcome on. Big up yourself, AI. I'm doing good. Thank you. I hope you are doing well today. I'm struggling with the heat today. It's very, very hot in London, but I'm doing okay. Thank you for asking. Conscious sound on the ball right now. Very, very talented player. Still can't believe Lloyd Kelly plays for Juventus. Kalulu will try and definitely have a better game today, of course, going on goal in the Man City game. So he'll try to be a bit more dominant today. Kefren playing that number 6 role, allowing Locatelli to go a bit more further up. But I'm sure those two players will interchange as the game goes on. Yildiz, fantastic ball. He shoots. Oh, Juventus are on one today, honestly. Fantastic turn there from Yildiz. Drives to the ball, cuts inside. Oh, that was not far out at all. He got a deflection, that's what it was. Tchouameni just about got a nick off that ball. Had he not, I think I would have got Tom Binns, to be fair. Kenan Yildiz is one to watch, you know. I know we're not actively looking for a left winger, but you know, he definitely has to be. Hold on a second, because the shot. No. Yes. So in terms of Liverpool with Luis Diaz possibly leaving the club, look, hold on a second. The goalkeeper almost made a calamity of a error there, misjudged the ball, but thankfully he got the ball, and in the end, possession is reclaimed by Juventus. But back to Luis Diaz. So, if he was to be sold, we would have to, look out for a left wing option. And I feel like Kenny Yildiz has to be in the mix. He's a player that he's young, but he's a bit more experienced than your Malik Fofanas, for example. He's been playing at Juventus for some time now. Um, he's got international experience for Turkey, and I feel like he's a player that can really grow. So, if you're forward definitely in the market, I have to say he has to be in the mix. Would he be my first choice? I'm not too sure. I really like Barcola from PSG, if he was available, but Yildiz really impresses me. He's a player that's really quick. He's not, rapid or anything like that, but he's very quick on the ball, very smart in terms of how he dribbles, and his final ball is really, really good. From the last couple of games I've seen in this tournament, he knows how to thread that through ball. So for me, has to be in the conversation there. Whether Juventus will sell him, it's of course another debate, and it probably costs a huge amount of money. But definitely a player that I would certainly add to the list as a potential target or potential profile that we can look into signing or replacing, I should say, for Luis Diaz if he decides to go. So very interesting player there. Let's got a few comments here from AR. Let me just have a sip of water, just like the players are in the team. Might as well do it myself. It's one is, what do you think Liverpool FC will buy Mark Gay and Alexander Isak? So not to sound arrogant, just because we're Liverpool and we're a big team, but I do feel like the Gay deal is going to happen sooner rather than later. Not in a cheeky way. I think today the rumor is that personal terms have been agreed with the player and Liverpool. The only stumbling block could be the transfer fee. But having said that, I think today or tomorrow we'll get a verdict in terms of what happens with Crystal Palace. Are they going to be able to participate in the Europa League next season? Of course, they've got a bit of an issue due to ownership, where the owner or one of their main stakeholders owns Leon. I think he owns other sort of minority shares in other clubs as well. So due to that, there's a bit of a conflict of interest. But with Leon being relegated to League Two, it could be where Palace have an easier pathway. But having said that, I don't think Leon are just going to bow down and just get relegated like that. They're going to fight and make sure that they're back in League R to some extent. So I don't think that's a conclusion there. I think they will definitely appeal that decision and make sure they are playing um, at the top tier of French football. And look, if let's be honest, money talks. And I'm not saying there's anything rigged or anything to that nature, but if there's any possibility or any chance that Lyon can stay in League One or League R, if you want to say the right pronunciation, um, then they will try and make sure Lyon remain in the league because you lose one team there that have been, one of the stand-up teams in the last 10, 15, 20 years. Not probably in recent years, but a team that has competed to some extent. But if they were to go and, if a team gets relegated to the lower division, then, you're going to see players leaving left, right, and center, and then therefore, you don't have that same quality in those leagues, and those players will go on to strengthen other leagues instead. So it only demises League R if Lyon weren't in the league. So I think they'll try and do their best to make sure that they remain in the league. It could really affect French football if Lyon go down. Bordeaux's already gone down. I don't even know. I don't think they're in League Two. They're in, I think, probably League 12 or something like that. So they've really gone down the lower leagues, which is a shame because they were, a solid French team, a team that was in European competitions all those years ago. So yeah, bit of a shame to see that. And hopefully, Lyon aren't one of those clubs that unfortunately goes down that road and then ends up being a team that is forgotten about for years to come. So yeah, hopefully, that could be sort of fixed in that manner. But sorry, back to my point in terms of Mark Gay. So Crystal Palace will find out, if they will be able to compete in the Europa League. If for some reason, and there is a possibility that UEFA decline that proposal and say, look, you can't compete, your owner is trying to, you try to get someone else to be a stakeholder. It doesn't, you know, bode well with them or however they want to phrase it. But if Palace aren't able to compete in the Europa League, number one, I think it'd be a huge shame because they have every right to be competing in that competition. Just because of the ownership sort of issue, I don't think that should be a way to punish the team. And it was not something that the owner probably envisioned because this is the first time Crystal Palace will be competing in the Europa League. So, it's something that has happened due to hard work and producing a fantastic result against Man City in the FA Cup final. So I don't feel like they should be punished. For that, the fans shouldn't be punished because this is, a very joyous occasion for them. Being able to compete and play in the Europa League. They're bringing European football to South London, so that is a huge deal in this part of the earth. So for me, yeah, it's a shame if Palace aren't able to compete in this next season's Europa League. But let's say that is the outcome, and they've been told that they can't compete. Then it could affect the price of the Gay deal because then Palace might be a bit desperate to raise funds, but also Gay might say, "Look, we're not playing in the Europa League. I'd like to move on." It might just strengthen his position to move on because he wants to move over to the Champions, but also from Simon Parrish's point of view as well. It might be best to cash in on him now and use that money to strengthen the squad a bit further. I think they've already pretty much earmarked their target, which is Osman Diomande, who's a player that I really wanted at Liverpool, but it looks like he might be going over to Crystal Palace as Gay's replacement. And I think that is a fantastic replacement from Palace. So in terms of the deal, I'm very confident that Gay will be a Liverpool player. Um, might be a slight hiccup this week in terms of any further development. And I think Crystal Palace will try and get the best sort of deal they can as possible. I think honestly, 35 million, 40 million should be enough to acquire the services of Gay. It shouldn't be more than that. I think if we pay more than 40, 45, then I feel like that's a little bit steep. And that's not because of the player. I do think he's worth that amount of money. It's just his situation. He's got 1 year left. So paying 1 year for a player that's, paying 45 million for that kind of player for that kind of range, I feel like, it should be a little bit less. But that's just, my point of view. But, having said that, I think he would be a fantastic addition to our team. I really would. I think he'd be a great signing for us. He gives us strength and depth. He's a player that can play alongside Van Dijk or Konate. Can even play both of them if we wanted to do a back three. That's the flexibility he brings to the team. Solid defender. Uh, in terms of on paper, he'd probably be third choice, but I do believe he will get a lot of games this season. With a lot of squad rotation, I think the coach will try and build the squad that he believes is his squad, and will not have any qualms in terms of rotating or switching players around. Last year, I think he was a bit hesitant in terms of you know rotating players and didn't have complete trust in some of the other squad players that we have. So hopefully this season it can be something different where whoever is on the bench, he has full faith in those players and they can come on and make a difference whenever called upon. So for me, I feel like Gay would be a fantastic addition. He really would. 24 years of age, very experienced in the Premier League. I'd probably say he's one of the first names for England in terms of their defensive setup. So for me, it bodes well that he's got a lot of qualities. Um, on the ball, he's very good. He can even play DM. If if it comes to that situation where we need someone there, he can cover for that role as well. Both footed, can play on his left or his right. So that's what I'm saying. He brings that flexibility into how we set up. And I think it's going to be a fantastic signing for us. So yeah, looking forward to Gay. Hopefully it's made official in due course. I'd probably say end of the week is my guess that we'll hear something a bit more concrete. And I think Romano reported today that terms will agree between the player and Liverpool today. So, that's just one step. And then I think the next step is trying to agree a deal with Crystal Palace. So hopefully we can get that done very, very soon. Now, in terms of Isak, we'll be doing a show later tonight at 11 p.m. where I'll be talking about Isak, Osimhen, and Ekitike, three players that have been heavily linked with the club in the last couple of days. So I thought, why not do a show where we can cover each player, um, see what the rumors are suggesting about each of those players, and whether there's any weight to it, and also, who would be the best fit in my opinion. So look out for that tonight. It will be starting at 11 p.m. UK time. But I don't know, guys. I just have an inkling that Isak could be a Liverpool player. I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's just me being hopeful more than anything else. But I do feel like there's something in the air that's telling me that Isak will be a Liverpool player. So only time will tell. But if I was to make a prediction, I would say Liverpool will sign Mark Gay and Alexander Isak. After that, I think our business will be done. I don't think we'll end up signing a midfielder unless someone departs. Excuse me, but I don't see Endo leaving. He's pretty much made it quite clear that he wants to stay at the club. So I don't think. Oh, because the header there, probably the smallest man on the pitch, but still managed to get ahead onto the ball straight at the keeper, unfortunately for him. So I think, yeah, we'll sign both players. And yeah, let's see what the future holds. But that is my prediction. Whether it happens or not, only time will tell. AR has asked, will we offload Simicast, Reece Williams, Karen Ramsey? Yes, I think Simicast will end up being the left back that leaves this summer. We all thought it could have been Robertson due to the interest that was generated by Atletico Madrid, but they've gone on to sign Ruggeri from Atalanta, so it looks like he's no longer a target for the Spanish side. In terms of Reece Williams, I think he's definitely destined to leave the club, and I think it's time to leave him. Or should I say, sell him on a permanent basis now, just like we did with Nathaniel Phillips. Will we get any decent money from him? remains to be seen. I think we'll be lucky to get 1 million, if I'm being brutally honest with you. So I don't think he has a future at the club at all. And in terms of Calvin Ramsey, he's been, plagued with a lot of injuries since he signed for Liverpool. So I'm not too sure in terms of, I don't think he has a future at the club, but the club will definitely find it hard to shift him due to him not having much game time. Maybe a move back to Scotland will be on the cards. So I do see him leaving, but it could be where, if a club's not willing to finance the deal or sign him on a permanent, he could go out on loan one more time. And then after that, I think we'll sell him. So unfortunately, I don't see him being a option for the first team. He hasn't shown enough to suggest that. So yeah, unfortunately for him, it looks like he'll probably go out on loan or he'll probably be sold in this window as well. And I asked list a few other players there. Morton, I think Morton will end up leaving. Uh, where does he go? Remains to be seen. I think he did have interest from Leverkusen last season, so maybe that's something that could be resurrected, or maybe a team in Germany will be interested in signing Morton. And Morton's had a fantastic Euros with Harvey Elliott as well. So, maybe that's helped, increase his stock a little bit. Last year, Leverkusen were willing to pay 25 million. So if we can get that fee or that kind of range again, I think that would be a fantastic bit of business for Liverpool. Elliott, very, very interesting in terms of, where we stand with him. He's had a fantastic Euros for the under 21s, 5 goals in 6 games, I believe. So, his stock has definitely risen from that competition alone. I don't think he's an Arnold type of player from what we saw last season. So I think it looks like he will be leaving the club, unfortunately. I say unfortunately because I think he's a great player. Seems like a really nice guy as well. And you can tell he's a boyhood Red, and this is, a dream for him to be playing for Liverpool. So he's like one of us, and we're kind of viewing it in reality. So it's a shame that, he has to leave his team in order to pursue his career. But he does have to think about himself. He does need to think about his career, what's best for him. There's no point of him rotting in the squad and not getting any game time, especially if the coach has indicated that you're not going to be getting much game time or you're not really part of my plans or the way I play. So but let's see. I think he will end up leaving. In terms of what we get for him, it'll be between 40 to 50 million. I think that would be the range that Liverpool will be looking for. Chiesa, based on last season, I think Arnold didn't really trust the player much, even when he was fit. So I feel like the writing's on the wall for him, and I can see him returning back to Italy. In terms of Nunes, I'm not sure. It felt like a pretty much of a shoo-in that he was going to be sold. And I'm not saying this that the Liverpool have changed their mind. It just seems like maybe Liverpool have too much of a high valuation of the player, and that's therefore putting teams off in order concluding any deals. The current rumor was, of course, Napoli, who are willing to offer 42 million altogether, but it's nowhere near what Liverpool want for Darwin Núñez. So for me, it's going to be interesting what happens because I mean, we were willing to sell him over to Saudi Arabia because they were, ready to spend big on Darwin Núñez, but Darwin Núñez has indicated that he wants to remain in Europe. So unfortunately, that puts him out of the picture. But because he wants to stay in Europe, there's two prices: there's a Saudi price and there's a European price. And unfortunately, the European price is half of what we would have earned from Saudi Arabia. So we'll have to accept around that 40 range, 40 million range, in my opinion. For me, I'd reluctantly accept it. I'll probably try to up a little bit and get 50. Not sure who would want to spend that kind of money on Darwin Núñez. But look, that's not me throwing shade at him. He's a talented player, but due to him not being so prolific for Liverpool in the last 2-3 years, it might put certain teams off to invest big on him, if that makes sense. So we'll see what happens with the Uruguayan striker. But I do expect him to leave. Uh, I thought it would happen sooner, but it looks like we'll have to wait a little bit more longer. So let's see what happens with him. Uh, Diaz, kind of the same situation there, where there was a lot of interest in Saudi, but due to that interest from Saudi. It's a move that might not appeal to Diaz. I think he wants to stay in Europe as well. His dream, of course, no hidden secret, was to play for Barcelona. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon because they are on the verge of signing Nico Williams. So due to that, he has to look at a different option. And there aren't many options in Europe that will spend big on Luis Diaz. So safe bet for him would be to go to Saudi. Where he earns a good paycheck. He's at that age when he's 28. Oh, hold on. Oh, Real Madrid almost opened the scoreline there. Cheeky attempt there from Bellingham, but cleared off the line from the Juventus player there. Uh, but back to Luis Diaz. I would like Diaz to stay if it was down to my opinion. I feel like he still has a lot to give to the team. Can play left wing and has shown that he can be a great option up top as well. So I would rather he stay at the club. And remember, he's only got 2 years remaining on his contract. So if he stays for one more season and then wants to leave next year and go over to Saudi, for example, that's still a strong possibility. And Saudi will still spend big on him next year. Mark my words. So that shouldn't be a concern to them how we think. I feel like we need to make sure that if we were to sell Diaz, that money is invested in an adequate replacement. So for me, I'm expecting not a big name, but I'm expecting an established name to come in and replace Diaz. That's how important he was for me to our season last year. So for me, it's very important to sign quality rather than signing a project player because I feel like that's not the angle that Armstrong seems to be going with. He wants to sign established, ready-made players that have a lot to give. So I think that will continue um, in terms of the profile players that we're signing so far this summer. So I would like Diaz to stay, if I'm being brutally honest. I would like him to stay. Um, because of that Nico Williams deal, maybe he'll hold fire for another year and see what his options are next year. But I don't think he'll leave this summer. Uh, Jota, very interesting one. It would depend on what the club wants to do with Diaz. I think that'll be one option there. In terms of Nunes, if he ends up staying, who would you rather have? Of course, ability-wise, you'd have Jota all day long. But the thing is, Jota's issue is availability, and Nunes tends to be pretty much available most times of the season. So, would Darwin Nunes be a better option off the bench? Not for me, honestly. I still prefer Jota, even though he's hardly around. I just don't feel like Nunes brings consistency even off the bench at times. I would rather we just have a different approach, or we sell both players. We sell Nunes, we sell Jota, and then we end up signing two strikers, which is something I'm going to discuss later on today in my show at 11 p.m. because that's the current rumor that apparently we want Isak and Osimhen. So I'll give you my take in terms of those two players being linked to the club this summer. Jota, if I think we would potentially sell him if we got a good offer. If we got a bid of around 50 million, I think that should be enough for us to part ways. I think it'll be good for him as well to move on because with Jota, as great and talented of a striker he is, if he's not available, he's no use to us. So maybe playing at a different league or a different team, even in the Premier League, because he has interest from Newcastle. He'll be playing, in a more of a less sort of rigorous way of playing football because obviously we're a team that's, very much on the high press and we expect our attackers to work hard at the front as well. So, and I also feel like with Jota, all those games that he's played over the years, it's taken a toll on his body. Therefore, he's not able to stay fit or be consistent throughout the season. And last year, I thought I saw a little decline in his, in his strengths, which was finishing. He wasn't a consistent finisher last season. So for me, I would sell Jota, but it would depend on Darwin as well. You know, I feel like it's difficult to sign two strikers in the same window because one will know they're going to be benched. We're probably not going to play two strikers. We're not doing 4-4-2 anytime soon. So that's why I think it's a bit of a tricky one. So I'd probably say it would make sense to keep him. Uh, But if Darwin Núñez remains, then they might opt to keep him instead. But let's see. 50-50 on Jota, if I'm being brutally honest. And Ben Doak, I'd definitely sell him. Player with great potential, but I don't feel like he's got a future at the club, and he's got a lot of interest due to the great loan spell he had at Middlesbrough. I think we can probably gain about £30 million in terms of the transfer fee for selling Ben Doak. So yeah, I'd sell him, and if you need a buyback clause, you can certainly add that as one of the clauses in the contract. So yeah, definitely sell him and raise the money in order to sign a top striker or maybe even a top winger if need be. So I would say that is the way we need to look at um, selling some of the players and be a bit more ruthless, which I feel like we are showing this summer. We're not going through that sentimental route. We are selling players if they're not required. So it's positive, and we are moving like a big club, which is a nice change for us Liverpool fans as well. Back to the game. It's still Real Madrid nil, Juventus nil. Juventus are currently on the ball right now through Kalulu. Yeah, so the cross slightly overplayed there. Just got a comment here from Mazzy. We got Mazzy. He says, "Hi, hey Ozzy, how close are we on getting Mark Gay? Reports say we've agreed persons, and what do you think will be the price?" So yeah, that is what I've heard today as well. That apparently we've agreed personal terms with the player, which not to say in a cheeky way, but it wasn't a difficult task because we know the player is very much interested in moving to Liverpool, and I think the terms would have been a formality to get him, on board. I think the stumbling block is the fee with regards to Crystal Palace. I think it will depend on the decision from UEFA if Crystal Palace are able to compete in the competition next season or not. If they are not able to compete, then it could help us, negotiate a lesser fee because I feel like Palace will want to raise the funds and try and strengthen their squad because they've already earmarked Osman Diomande as his replacement, so they'll need the finances in order to get that deal over the line as well. So I think we will sign Gay. In terms of the fee, I can see it being around 35, 40 million. I think that would be the range that Liverpool will end up paying. Palace will try and hold out for a bigger fee. But I feel like because the player has shown indication that it's Liverpool and that is a team that he wants to join, there's no other teams rivaling us right now. It should be a smoother pathway to sign the player. So my guess would be around 35, 40 million. So yeah, definitely be on the lookout for any further developments. And I'm sure we'll do a show at some point regarding Gay this week as well. So make sure to be on the lookout for that. Vinicius, is that Vinicius? No, that's Tchouaméni. Almost opening the scoreline for Real Madrid there with a header. Interesting to see Tchouaméni playing as a centre back nowadays more so than his normal position, which is midfield. Had he joined Liverpool, it would have been a different situation there. But he's going to have to be content with the role that's offered to him. Apparently, we were linked to signing him this summer as well for £59 million, which was the reported fee. I don't think Real Madrid will sell him anytime soon. Lloyd Kelly, Liverpool up top, headed away by Rudiger. Rudiger. to Trent, Trent to Hoyson. Really got not pressed with Trent there taking his time to release the balls, tapping at him saying, hurry up. Just got a comment here from Mazzy. He says, coming on screen. What is going on? There we go. Alexander Isak seems like it might happen, Ozzy. If we get him, do you think we can do the quadruple or a treble? Honestly, I mentioned earlier in the show, I have an inkling that we will get him. The signs just seem to be positive, and with us signing Verts and Turkey and Frimpong, it just seems like we've got that good feel factor right now, and hopefully we can get that deal over the line because I've said it for months and months and months. He's the dream signing for me. I know a lot of fans favor Alvarez a bit more, and I really rate Alvarez as well. I really do. I feel like Isak just gives something different. His all-round game is second to none. I feel like he's a type of striker where he can attack the channel, but in terms of his build as well, he can definitely compete physically against uh, the opponent's defenders. And with Alvarez, I'm not saying he can't handle himself or anything to that nature, but he just gives you that fear factor because he can do a bit of everything. So and when I say a bit of everything, I'm not saying it to a mediocre level. I'm saying it to from a very high level as well. So for me, he's always been the dream signing, and it looks like Newcastle could be swayed to part ways with the player for a couple of reasons. One, of course, in terms of their sort of contract negotiations that have stalled, so because the player is not interested in extending and has indicated that Liverpool's a team that he wants to join. And secondly, they're having troubles, signing players right now. A lot of players are rejecting him left, right, and center. And due to that, they need to raise the funds in order to increase those bids or try to acquire more players. They'll be playing the Champions League next year, so they need to, add more players to their squad in order to compete for that competition, but of course, compete for all other competitions during the season as well. So they'll need to raise the fund. Of course, they've had PSR issues where they're not able to spend big despite the wealth of their owners. Um, in terms of your second part of the question, do you think we can win the quadruple or treble? I'll be shameless to say, yeah. Honestly, if we get Gay and Isak, I'd be a little bit more selfish and say, "Oh, I want another midfielder as well." But if that midfielder doesn't happen, I can wait until next year for that midfielder signing to happen. But our squad would be in great shape to compete for all cylinders. We would have strength and depth in defense. The only concern would be Joe Gomez, due to his injury record. But with Gay there, he's a very solid option for us. And worst case scenario, you've got the likes of Endo that can put in a shift at centre back as well. Um, Even worst case scenario, put Robertson there if we really, really have to, because he's going to be a bit more of a squad player next year, in my opinion. And when I say squad player, I don't mean to, belittle him or say that he's not going to get any game time. I think he'll be more in rotation with Turkez next season. So, we've got adequate players to, cover those sort of positions. Midfield as well, even though I said I like another midfielder, we've got Endo, McAllister, Gravenberg, Jones. So that's our core right there. And then you potentially have Bajtic. I'm not overly convinced by him, and I think we might even sell him if we were to get the right offer. And then you've got McConnell as well. So for me, if we were just to add one more, I think that really, for the first time ever, completes our squad. So, you know, that would be me being selfish to say midfield as well. I would be more than happy for it to be just Gay and Isak. Because I feel like those are the areas we need to add and address. The striker role, 100%. We need to have a different option up top, different player that's going to be the man that leads the line. In terms of Gay, he's just going to be a solid addition to our squad that will be able to cover our centre back position. If we have to, he can even cover left back if required. But he can play in a back three, in a back four. So for me, solid sign. Of course, off the field stuff, he ticks our homegrown quota as well. Why not? Honestly, I think we could really compete for the treble. Um, the thing with treble and the quadruple, the thing with the quadruple or the treble is that we'll just have to be a bit lucky with injuries. That would be my only thing. I don't think it's completely down to ability. Um, I hope Arnold Slot will rotate the squad a little bit more. I think the second part of last season, he was quite reluctant to do that, and I think that didn't cost us in terms of the league or anything to that nature. But I think when you consider that week where we lost the cup final to Newcastle and then we lost to PSG in the Champions League, that of course got us knocked out in the end. That week ended up being quite positive, and I think our players looked very jaded. Had the players had been rotated a bit more, on hindsight of the thing, but that may have helped our position, may have given us, some player that would have been a bit more fresher going into those games. So I think we could definitely compete. Whether we win it guarantee, I don't know. Um, but I'll be shameless to say, yeah, we can win the quad. If we've got Isak, Verts in our front line with Diaz, Gakpo, Salah, so Bosline in the mix, in the back as well. We're cooking, honestly. So the game one, I think will be wrapped up in a week or two. I think not a week or two might be too. I think we'll get some sort of indication this week and maybe next week. We get some official news, or he's even unveiled as a player. And the Isak one, unfortunately, will be slightly delayed. And I'm only saying that because I think we need to sell in order to. Oh, hold on a second. Apologies. Valverde just had a fantastic shot from about 25 yards out. Great save there from Di Gregorio. Great shot. The outside of his boot. Ah, fantastic save there. Great height for the keeper, but still had to make it happen. Great save there. Corner kick for Real Madrid. They've got a few more minutes in stoppage time right now. The goal over the corner kick. Olsen with the header. Blocked there by Juventus. Di Gregorio manages to claim the ball and puts that situation to bed now. But now, in terms of competing for the quad, I think we will. I'm not going to say we're winning it. We still have to see how the team plays and all that sort of stuff. But I'd be very confident that we could at least try and get the treble. So yeah, let's see. You're probably going to hear shameless comments from me if we were to sign Isak and Gay. If we were to add a midfield as well, I will hands down say we're winning the quad, honestly. But yeah, let's see. Let's see until that time comes. But very, very positive signs. The game one looks like it could be done very soon. Isak one, I'm getting good vibes from. I don't know how everyone else is feeling. I feel like that deal could be done. I'm not saying soon, but it could be done certainly in this window. So yeah, hopefully, Liverpool can make that happen. Back to the game, Vinicius Jr. having words with his own player there, wasn't able to thread the perfect ball to him. Speaking of Real Madrid, I'm surprised they haven't signed striker. I know Mbappe's on the bench, so of course, on a normal day he would have started in this game. But after Mbappe, look, let's say he's not available, they don't really have adequate quality for me, for the first thing for a striker to lead the line. You've got some players that can do a job, like Rodrigo could do a job, but he's more so of a winger rather than a striker. They don't really have someone in the squad like that. And I'm not trying to put that energy out there. Hopefully, they don't even try and get Isak. But then again, I don't think they can afford him because we will have to spend big on Isak. I think we'll end up wrapping it up for about 125, 130 million. I think that will be the final fee. I don't think it will be all the way up front. It will be, of course, paid in installments in terms of how transfers are done. But I think the structure of the deal will be like 100 million up top, or within the sort of installment brackets, and then the remaining transfer fee will be on add-ons. That would be my guess there. So let's see. Hopefully, I'm right. Um, and look, certain people will need to get shouts. Like the likes of Richard Hughes and Michael Evans, more so Richard Hughes, because not gonna lie, I've been saying a lot of smack about him for the last 12 months because he hasn't done much. To be fair, so. to my defense, I'm going based on what he's produced on, in terms of his job. And for me, he's not done much. But right now, he's definitely cooking. So if he gets that Isak deal done, yeah, he deserves all the respect. And I would put my hand up and, give him, his credit. I'll apologize on live as well. So yeah, no, I have no shame in doing that whatsoever. In these kind of moments, I like to be proven wrong because it only benefits my club. So yeah, let's see what happens. But that is the halftime whistle. Still 0-0 between Real Madrid and Juventus. So what we're going to do now, I'm going to take a short break, get a bit of fresh air because it's very, very humid out here. And then once we return, we can watch the second half of Real Madrid versus Juventus. And if there's any other questions that you'd like to send through in the live chat, feel free to do so. So yeah, until then, I'll see you guys very shortly. And yeah, we'll be back in about 5 or 10 minutes. See you guys very soon. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the second half of Real Madrid versus Juventus. Just going to check to see if there has been any changes to the lineups. So for Juventus, sorry, for Real Madrid, no changes there. It's the same team that started the first half. And for Juventus as well, same team. So no changes made from either team, which makes sense. I think both teams, especially Juventus, showed a good account of themselves. So let's see how they performed in the second half. Arda on the ball, playing a bit of a deeper role there. I'm sure he'll find himself a bit more further up in due course. Valverde to Trent. Oh, I thought Bellingham was going to go for a bicycle kick there. Ends up laying it off to Valverde. Valverde with the first time snapshot with his left foot. Unable to hit the target there. Did he get a deflection? Let's have a look. No, no, he didn't. As it wasn't that far off. Looking at the replay from a different angle behind the goal. Bellingham on the ball. Nah, that's not a foul. Good tackle there from Kefren Turan. I think if Liverpool ever wanted to sign a player that was similar to Gravenberch as a player for cover or for backup, Kefren Turan, I feel like fits that bill, which is probably why we were linked with both players a couple of summers ago, wasn't it? So, firstly, I'm pleased that it's Gravenberch that we end up signing because he's a player that, for me, has always shown that promise or that potential in his Ajax days. And yeah, he's finally living up to the bill. So for me, yeah, really good to see Gravenberch getting his flowers, I guess, because a lot of fans, especially Liverpool fans, has written him off after his opening season. And second season, different different season altogether. Really showed his true qualities. And now he's probably one of the best number sixes, I'd say, in our league for sure, but possibly in Europe as well. Howson with the header there. Kevin Turam. Through ball. Oh, that was a good cross there, but it went behind Colomwani. I think he's offside in the end, but good piece of play there from Juventus. Is he offside? Close. I mean, Bruno's Hausen. Poor defending because that could definitely went through his legs. Mwani maybe should have been a bit more screwed on, hoping, for a mistake to happen. I feel like that's how you got to react in the box. Even if it doesn't look like that ball is going to come to you, you have to just envision that it's going to come somehow. And that makes you, ready for when the ball arrives. Trent with the shot, balloons it over the bar. Awful attempt there from Real Madrid's number 12. Mbappe is on the touchline, getting warmed up, so he should be making his appearance very shortly. They need firepower up top, that's for sure. Rudiger. Hold on to Mwani, but can he go through? almost did, but Howson had to make that last ditch clearance for a corner kick. Juventus applying the pressure, looking like they're the one that's going to break the deadlock today ahead of Real Madrid, in my opinion. Kylian Yildiz set to take the corner kick from the left-hand side. Corner kick taken, headed away by Howson. Costa trying to head it back into the box. But in the end, Vinicius Jr. is on the counter, attacking that left-hand side, cuts in. Can he pass? Oh, took way too long to hit the low cross inside the box. Conceição, honestly, poor foul there. Was not needed. Just had to hold, his position there, be a shadow, try not to, give the player any space. Instead, he literally just ran into him, pushed him down, and a foul's given to Real Madrid. So poor foul to concede there. Could be costly because now you've got Arda Güler playing a left-footed cross. Oof, Howson misses the ball completely. Valverde has the ball. Bellingham. Okay, he shoots with. Oh, no, he doesn't. He shoots with his right foot. Saved by Gregorio. It looked like Bellingham was about to shoot his left, but back with me as well at the same time. Hits a shot with his right foot. Carried away by the keeper. Good save from the Juventus shot stopper. Fran Garcia to Vinicius. Crossing to Schumann. Oh, Hudson with a 30-yard shot there. Definitely had a bit of a dip into that shot. Had to be parried away. Good save from Di Gregorio. Corner kick set to be taken by Arda Güler. They don't trust Trent with corner kicks. That's shameful. Fran Garcia to Vinicius Jr. Cross. Headed away by Lloyd Kelly. Trent on the ball. Good cross. And they've broken their deadlock. Garcia. Gonzalo Garcia with the finish. Pretty much a routine head. I think the delivery is what made the goal there. Pretty much put it on a sixpence for him. Just had to hit the target, and that's exactly what he did. 1-0 to Real Madrid. Conte getting a bit too ahead of himself, saying, "Who needs Mbappe? They need Mbappe." They do. That was just a good delivery from Trent on that right-hand side. Still not convinced by Gonzalo Garcia. Oh, he's definitely on. He's miles on side. No one picked him up. So poor defending there from Juventus. It was literally a free man there. Tapped the ball really well. Keeper got a fingertip onto it, but he was already moving towards one direction, so very difficult for him to palm it away with a strong hand, unfortunately. So Real Madrid, honestly, I don't think it was dessert. I think Juventus have been the more attack-minded team. I think they're the ones that have been a bit more on the front foot. But in these sort of games, it's these sort of moments that split the teams, and Real Madrid have been, you know, clinical, I guess, in the end. But there's still plenty of time. About 36 minutes remaining. Juventus can respond. They do have options on the bench, but I feel like they have been showing a good account of themselves. All they've got to do is keep on going. And hopefully, they're able to just create that one moment that puts them back into the game. So let's see if they can do it right now. Kefren Turam has the ball. Finds Kolomwani. Conceição the shot. Good effort there. Hard and low, but good height for Courtois, unfortunately, to carry that ball away. Had he had a bit more flat to it, definitely would have had the keeper scrambling there. Garcia attacking the right channel, finds Vinicius Jr. Poor first touch. Tries to lay up to Valverde, but even his touch was worse. Conceição, oh, that's a foul. Frank Garcia running into the Portuguese winger there. Lloyd Kelly seems to have picked up an injury there. So he won't be able to continue. So Juventus will need to get a substitute ready to replace him. Decent strike from Conceição, but in that moment you've got to add a bit of flag to it. You know, try and go for top bins. A keeper of Courtois' quality is definitely going to carry that away from the bottom corner. Just showing the replay of the Bellingham shot. Good save from the keeper. Holston definitely caught everyone by surprise with that effort. And then the goal. Yeah, it's a header on target. And that's what you got to do as a minimum. And then yeah, he's got his reward there. Some may question the goalkeeping, but I think because he was already, committed to going to one side of the goal, for him to backtrack and palm it away, it would have been very difficult, It's just one of those things that happened. Bellingham on the ball right now. This goal might give Madrid a bit more confidence now. Arlo came very deep right now. He's pretty much like a number six. Never really seen him play this kind of role. Playing like Nuri Sahin when he was at Real Madrid. Oh, lovely pass. For Nuri Sahin actually wore number 15 as well. Vinicius Jr. with the outside boot, great cross, headed away by Rugani. Unfortunate for Lloyd Kelly, he's actually had a very decent game. He's had to be taken off due to injury. So now Juventus are making a couple of substitutions. You've got, looks like that's Nicolas Gonzalez. So that's a bit more of a tap-minded substitution there. And I think Constantine has also been taken off. So that's more of a like for like substitution there. In terms of who replaces Lloyd Kelly, it will be Kostic, which I'm not sure that's going to be a like for like substitution because he is a bit more attack minded. So let's have a look at the Juventus setup. Looks like Kalu is shifted to the left hand side, and you've got Costa playing and back three now. So they've gone a bit more attack minded. They've got Kostic on that left hand side to provide the width and hopefully some creativity on the flanks. And then you've got 1 second. Vinicius Jr. on the attack. Cuts in, tries to pass it. Oh, great effort there from Valverde. Acrobatic effort there from the Uruguay midfielder. Good save there from Di Gregorio. But back to Juventus, they've just brought on Nicolas Gonzalez as well, so he's going to provide more of an attacking threat from the right hand side, a bit more, natural play on that right hand side. So we'll see what he can produce for Juventus. I think it makes sense to keep Colomwani in the team. He's definitely someone that will, use his speed to his advantage. Vlahovic probably the more composed finisher, but I think Colomwani is the player to hit Real Madrid on the counter attack, and I think he's suited for that sort of style of play. So I don't expect him to be taken off anytime soon, but maybe closer to um, the final stages, he might be brought on. So let's see if Vlahovic gets any game time today. But back to the game. Trent is about to take the corner kick. Punched away by Di Gregorio. Alaguler to Valverde. Nice execution of the ball there, but cleared away by Juventus. Trent on that left hand side. Finds Guler. Really got telling Trent, get back to position. This should not be in the middle. Poor pass there from Rudiger, but thankfully for him, really was Kostic that wasn't able to control the ball there. Throw into Real Madrid. 62 minutes played. Real Madrid 1, Juventus 0. Goal coming from Gonzalo Garcia with the header. Nice play there from Muani. Kevin Turam should have laid it off there. Took too long to pass it back to Kalulu. Locatelli. Great distribution of the ball. Poor pass. Curse of the commentator, I guess. Um, looks like it's a throw into Real Madrid now. Remains to be seen if we see Kylian Mbappe on the field today. He's warming up. That could be simply where they don't want to rush him today, and it makes sense, to be fair. Especially if they get his second goal. I don't see him getting involved today. Excuse me. Garcia attacking the left channel this time. Kevin Turam calmly gives the ball to Kalulu. Costa. Nice pass. Ah, Arsenal on the ball to Goulet, Frank Garcia. He's that left back. I think they were really hoping that Alphonso Davis would join them this summer. But fair play to him. He rejected him and signed a new contract with Bayern. So they're probably going to have to identify a new left back at some point. Looks like Mbappe is getting some game time. He's getting some final words from the coach, which is Xabi Alonso. The fans are jubilant. See young kids getting excited as they should be. That's a great moment for them to watch one of the best players in world football. Corner kick taken, oh, headed away by Rugani, I think it was. Goulet, chance to think inside the box. Deflected for another corner kick. Trent to Goulet, quick corner taken. Oh, Garcia unable to guide in towards the goal there. Bellingham shoots but blocked away. Blocked again. Nice little flick there. To Kefren Turam. He's gone back again. Needs to be a bit more brave on the ball there. Just needed to do a half turn and go a bit more forward. Decides to go back. Unfortunately, they've lost a bit of momentum now. Real Madrid's number 9. Mbappe is set to make an appearance. He's replacing the goal scorer, which is Garcia. The crowd have all of a sudden become a bit more livelier, and you know, no surprise as they're about to win is killing Mbappe in front of their own eyes. So it should be a good occasion for the fans in the stadium. Lily on the ball. Nice pass from Locatelli. Heavy touch there from Gonzalez. Very heavy touch. Vinicius. This has been very average today. Valverde to Mbappe. Mbappe gets his first touch. Finds Vinicius. Back to Mbappe. Unable to get control of the ball. Valverde, can he shoot? Yes, he can. Deflected and straight in the arms of the goalkeeper. Efren Turan to Yildiz. Yildiz has been very quiet in the second half. Needs to be a bit more involved now. He's the one that can make things happen for this Juventus team. He can be that creative spark, but can also be more than capable of scoring something out of nothing. Has that kind of ability. Kostic to Yildiz to Turan. Turan passes it back to Locatelli. Nice ball there from Yildiz to Muani. Oh, Gonzalez with the left foot shot there. Just missed the post. Good effort there from Juventus. Not a bad effort at all. Keeper may have got it. Let's have a look at this angle here. No, if he was going right in the corner there, Keeper may have been beaten there, so unlucky with that effort. Q minus is coming on to replace Kenan Dildes, who I just mentioned had a bit of a quiet second half. So no surprise that the coach has replaced him. Hopefully, Q minus can have a bit more impact off the bench. And he's a player that's very capable of scoring from long range, so he's definitely got a shot on him. Excuse me. Kefir Turam, 70 minutes played. Real Madrid 1, Juventus 0. Kefir Turam tries to hit the free ball. Fantastic pass there to Kostic. Ah, good tracking there from Colomwani. Unlucky to claim the ball. Bellingham through to Vinicius Jr. Can he keep in play? Yes, he can. To Mbappe. Mbappe tries to find Valverde. Oh, Aguilera with a shot from the edge of the box. Keeper didn't have any view of that whatsoever, but still managed to make the block. Bellingham can he shoot? No, he can't. Good turn from Mbappe to Vinicius Jr. Poor touch there. Vinicius seems to have a bit more of a purpose in his game now. Before, when Mbappe wasn't there, he looked a bit lost. But now he's a bit more lively, has a bit more sort of urgency in terms of getting onto the ball and trying to make things happen for the team. Thuram on the ball. Kalulu. Back to Locatelli. Locatelli trying to thread that through ball, but is unable to do so with the several Real Madrid players ahead of him. Gonzalez, poor first touch, loses the ball. Bellingham through to Goulet. Can he keep in play? Yes, he can. Attacks that right channel. That's not a great pass, but he still finds Fran Garcia. Mrs. Jr. Oh, he thought he was going to shoot, but he doesn't. Back to Gonzalo Garcia. Trent to Bellingham. Locatelli. Come from Thuram. Nice piece of skill there. Can he shoot? Tries to find Kostic. Kostic across. Able to be his first man. Another cross. Oh, over the keeper. The Costa trying to save the play. But he's banged his head in the process. He's all right. Costa looks a good player, to be fair. Really impressive in this tournament. McKennie set to make an appearance for Juventus. Gatti. Gatti looks like he'll be coming on as well. And Luka Modric is coming on to replace Arda. 75 minutes played. Real Madrid 1, Juventus nil. We've got another game later on tonight, which is Borussia Dortmund versus Monterrey, who are captained by Sergio Ramos. If they were to win, then I think it will be Real Madrid versus Monterrey. So Ramos gets to play against his ex team, which will be an exciting encounter, I guess. Full of fireworks, I assume. Yeah, routine save there for De Gregorio with regards to the Adogule shot there from the edge of the box. Just got a comment here from Daz. Big up Daz as always. Says, big up Ozzy. Who do you think will win this tournament? Um, I would probably say I'd say PSG. I've got an inkling that they will win. I like it to be another team. I like it to be a team that, isn't regarded as sort of favorites, the likes of Al Hilal, who of course caused a surprise by being Man City yesterday. Palmeiras, you got Fluminense. So teams like that, it'd be nice to see them, break the predicted sort of mold in terms of who we would think would win. But based on what I've seen in the tournament and the teams that are available right now, I think PSG have a strong chance. Of course, they got a huge task facing Bayern Munich. If they were to get past them, then you'd have to say they're favourites, in my opinion. But can't rule out Real Madrid, of course. They are, the team that are one of those teams that kind of have that heritage, I guess, in terms of winning cups. They have the knack for doing that. So maybe it could be something where they you know continue that tradition and win this tournament as well. But it's not like they need the money, so I'd rather it be someone else. To be fair, but if I was to make a prediction, I'm gonna go for PSG to win the tournament. Thuram to Locatelli. Can he shoot? It's taking too long. Lays it off to Cambiaso. Cambiaso playing a bit more further up than normal. Locatelli, what can he do? Nice free ball to Gonzalez. The second time he's miscontrolled and needs to do better in those situations. Good piece of play there from Cambiaso. Looks a decent play, he does. With the cross. Cute Miners. Oh, good play from Cute Miners. Tries to hit it back towards Kolomwani. Kevin Turam has it. Cambiaso again. Oh, he gets past the player. I think, not sure who that was, but it looked like a cheeky nutmeg there. Valverde to Vinicius. Alonso's told the players to just calm down, relax, manage the game properly now. Juventus already marking in numbers right now. Vinicius, good piece of skill there. Tries to find Mbappe. Catherine Turam Nicks it away from the Frenchman. 80 minutes played. Still 1-0 to Real Madrid. Costa tries to do it all on his own, but unfortunately blocked there by Fran Garcia. Tchouameni to Valverde. Rudiger to Tchouameni. Arsene. Good touch from Valverde, but blocked by Juventus. Strong tackle there from Bellingham on Catherine Turam. This is Junior shoots. Blocked there by Costa. Tchouameni the shot. It was on target. Had to be parried away by the keeper. Corner kick to Real Madrid. Let's have a look. Yeah, that full stretch, to be fair, had to be done. Keeper disappointed with his defence there. Modric set to take the corner kick. Modric headed away. I think that was by Cambiaso. Vinicius Junior. Mbappe through to Fran Garcia. Ah, low cross, but no one on the end of it. Very difficult one for any striker to get onto that one. He literally hit it with pure power, but it looks like it might have been deflected, which I didn't see, to be fair. But corner kick for Real Madrid. Slight nick off Costa there. Not sure how the referee saw that, but you know, that is the case. Trent set to take the corner kick, but before he does, Juventus are making a couple of substitutions. You've got the likes of Kenny, who is replacing Locatelli. And Gatti is replacing Rugani. Wicket taken. Vinicius Junior to Valverde. Foul there from Bellingham. Definite yellow card there. Bit of frustration from the midfielder. Oh, it wasn't as bad, but it was still late and it was from behind, so yellow card is definitely warranted. Kevin Turan drives the ball. One touch too many there, in my opinion. Good pull the trigger. Vinicius Junior driving the ball on the left hand side. Ball pass there to Nicolas Gonzalez. A terrible header from Cluster, throwing to Real Madrid. Doesn't seem to be any fire in Juventus right now. Seem to have accepted their fate. Valverde with the cross. Blocked there by Kostic there. Corner kick taken from Real Madrid. Modric to Trent. Trent with the cross. Terrible effort there, honestly. Valverde getting a huge round of applause from the crowd. Then, rightly so, I think he's probably been Real Madrid's best player, so he'd get my man of the match if I was to make that pick. He's been replaced by Ceballos. Kenny driving the ball. 5 minutes of stoppage time. Oof. And ball booted onto Colomani. Van Garcia, not a bad effort with that crossfield pass. Trent, awful pass. His passing has been terrible today, honestly. I'm not just throwing shade because he's a former player. He hasn't been good today. Rudiger to Modric. Howson, heavy touch there. Terrible pass. Not sure what he was trying to do there. Blindly just hit diagonal to no one other than the corner flag. Can Juventus get a last minute equalizer? Can't rule it out. But they got to be positive. They haven't really shown much in the last 10 or 15 minutes. Trent, Longwood, long ball up top. Aimless attempt there. Kalulu to McKennie. Kevin Turam lifts the ball towards Gonzalez. Cambiaso gets it on that right hand side. Costa, McKennie to Turam. Turam heavy touch. Oh, almost dinked it towards Costa again. Colomwani. Jimenez trying their best to create an opening here. I think someone's offside. That's pretty much stopped the momentum in that move. Interesting kit there from Juventus. Seems to be a new logo. I don't think that's the logo they normally have. Might be wrong. Looks like a Ferrari logo more than anything else. Lulu trying to do 1-2 on that left hand side, but unable to make it happen. Mm. 1 minute remaining. Can Juventus produce a last ditch attempt on goal? They got possession now through Kefren Turam. Lays it off to Cambiaso. Cambiaso to Nicolas Gonzalez. Colomwani drives with the ball. Oh, he's fouled. Is that a penalty? No, it's not given. Don't think it was, to be fair, but you never know. In this tournament, it's been quite unpredictable with those sort of decisions. Sausage low cross. Ah, it's too close to the keeper. And that will be the last action of the game. No, it's not foul. And that is the final whistle. Kolomwani in distraught, falling to ground. But that is it. Real Madrid won, Juventus nil. So Real Madrid go on to the next round. They'll be facing either Dortmund or Montreal, I believe. So let's see who they are paired up with. But that is it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you to let's give a shout to AR And shout out to Mazzy and Daz for your comments. Appreciate your engagement as always, guys. If you haven't already, please don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. In terms of upcoming content, I will be doing a show in just over an hour as I will be discussing the potential striker targets that we're, trying to get over the line, I guess, in this window. Plus, latest sort of developments regarding Gehi. There's been some news regarding Diaz as well, so we can discuss that in that show. So feel free to get involved in the live chat. I guess we can have a good old discussion later on tonight. So that's it for today, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take care, stay safe, and I hope to speak with you guys very, very soon. Goodbye.